This is Hannibal from the HannibalTV.com with a daily combat sports news update for you. Raw hit the second lowest rating of all time. They did a 0.51 in the 18 to 49 demographic, which is actually the same rating they had last week. However, last week they had 1.75 million viewers, and this week they had 1.74 million viewers. So they had slightly less total viewership this week, which makes this week now the new second lowest rating in history. Earlier this month, they were in the 0.4s, which was, of course, the all-time lowest. They did have approximately 33 WWE NXT / developmental wrestlers in the crowd last night and plexiglass up around the ring. But obviously, having the audience there didn't make that much of a difference. I tried to say this in my news update yesterday, but unfortunately there was a bad storm here yesterday and it got cut out of the live feed. But Arnold Schwarzenegger paid tribute to Shad Gaspard yesterday. He visited a memorial site for Shad, and he shared a picture of himself at the site saying Shad was such a positive force in the gym and the world. He was a hero in bodybuilding, a hero in wrestling, and the moment he told lifeguards to save his son first, he was the ultimate hero. I actually posted an interview on this channel earlier today from my buddy Justin at the Wrestling Classic. He let me upload this. It's actually Shad Gaspard's last interview he ever did. It's almost 2 hours long, and it was recorded about a month ago. So I'd suggest you guys check that out. In other news, the Terrace House reality show that was, I guess, on Netflix in the US, however, it was in Japanese. That's the show that Hana Kumura, who killed herself. She was 22 years old over the weekend. She's a reality show star and a Stardom Japan wrestler. She apparently killed herself. Obviously, she had underlying mental health issues to kill herself based off of allegedly she was hurt by fan comments on social media. Just before she killed herself, I've actually seen these pictures. She posted pictures of her slit wrists and tweeted them out. They were later deleted from Twitter, but by the time police arrived, it was too late. She had already passed away. So there was some debate whether they would still go on with the reality show. It was on hiatus anyways because of this lockdown, but they've made the decision that the reality show is not going to go on. And that's a good decision, in my opinion. In MMA news, Fight Island is actually going to be Yas Island in Abu Dhabi. So the Fight Island is going to be in Abu Dhabi. UFC is taking place this weekend out of Las Vegas at the Apex facility that UFC owns. They have confirmation that they're going to be allowed to hold the event there. And by the way, apparently gyms are open in Nevada now. Let's hope they get them open here in Ontario, Canada soon, because I just finished an hour workout of flipping my tire that my grappling coach gave me last week and hammering it. But I really appreciate that he brought those to me, but it makes me remember how much I miss weights. Ariel Helwani noted that this weekend UFC fighters are getting SWOT throbs for the COVID-19 testing rather than nose swabs, which were being done for the Jacksonville UFC event. From my understanding, AEW is testing wrestlers for COVID-19 as well, but for some reason, WWE, company worth billions, is only doing temperature testings for their wrestlers as well as the people in the audience at their events. For the UFC 250 event that is also happening at the Apex facility in Las Vegas. It looks like, by the way, for US UFC shows from here on out till they start allowing crowds for UFC shows again, they're probably going to be at this Apex facility in Las Vegas in front of no fans. But for UFC 250, it looks like Amanda Nunes versus Felicia Spencer is going to be the main event. Rafael Assunção versus Cody Garbrandt. So I'm sorry, you guys are going to crucify me again. I am watching MMA more now. I'll be better at the names, but I'll still try and say them. And Sean O'Malley versus Eddie Wineland is also going to be on the card for June 6, UFC 250. Dana White said UFC is talking about booking Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo for the vacant bantamweight men's title. It's vacant because Henry Cejudo, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, retired after his last fight. A lot of people are debating whether that's a legit retirement or he just wants more money, because I forget what his exact pay was for that last fight, but I seem to recall it was $300,000 or $400,000 for the bantamweight champion. But we all know the real money is in the heavier weights. Most people love to see the big guys in action, including me. Covington says he's no longer a member of the American top team. And also in MMA news, I am supposed to be doing a Skype interview with Dan the Beast Severn tonight, UFC Hall of Famer, former WWE superstar, former NWA champion. He actually held the NWA World Championship when it was still when he was still in the UFC and had that title in the cage. And to be honest, he'd be a better NWA champion to have right now than Nick Aldis. I know there's a lot of Nick Aldis fanboy, well, not a lot, but a vocal minority. If there was a lot, I wouldn't be kicking the NWA's YouTube channel's ass. In other news, or actually, sorry, that's it for the news for the day. I'll get into some of the fan questions. Van Albright says, "What's up?" Nothing much. Feeling pretty good today. Might be able to hear my dog barking in the background. City of Roses 79 says hi. Colonel Quest says hi. Ralph Vaquero says WWE is slowly dying. Victor Murphy, what's up, man? 80 degrees today. It's really hot here too. Really hot. I think it's close to 100 degrees where I am. It went from, this is Canada for you. It went from being very cold last week, and in the past 2 weeks, we actually had a bit of snow. And today it's literally around 100 degrees here. So I'm never going to complain about hot weather. I love it. And we only get about 3 months of good weather where I live here in Canada. I hope to move to Arizona one day. And from what I understand, most gyms in Phoenix are back open now, which is good to hear. Debo says, watching Raw is like watching paint dry, which, by the way, I have a full shoot interview with Debo on this channel, the wrestler Zeus who played Debo in that movie. So, yeah, I highly suggest watching that one. Someone says, great job putting up that Chad video earlier today. Yeah, I thank a lot the guy for letting me post that. Anthony says, watching Raw is like watching cheese mold. Ha, ha, ha. I actually watched a small clip of it to see what it looked like because I was curious of what the plexiglass setup looked like. And I don't know, it's nothing against the plexiglass setup. It was the part I saw was of the Lashley versus Drew McIntyre match, and it was actually the finish of the match, and it was a bizarre finish. And in my opinion, I know Lashley's making good money there, but I wish they had used him better in his return. I think he could have been used a lot better and had a good feud with Lesnar. They've jobbed him out to so many people and put him in bizarre angles. I don't know if it's too late or not to get him to the level that he could have been at when he first came back. And I like Bobby Lashley, by the way. Great guy. Met him a couple times. Wes Hayes says, TV 14 Raw, please. As I've said numerous times on here, I don't think the PG era still exists in wrestling. Speaking of Lashley, we saw him making out with Lana right on top of Lana's real life husband, Rusev, who, by the way, they fired after humiliating him in that angle. That was not PG TV to me, and I don't think they are PG anymore, to be honest with you. And I think that's hilarious what they did to Rusev for allowing that to happen before his contract expired and without a solid deal in place. I think that's pathetic. Colonel Quayle says Japan suicide is looked up to. They have the suicide forest. I don't agree with anyone committing suicide. I do believe it's the coward's way out. Sorry if I'm offending anyone, but I mean, I really don't believe in suicide at all, especially over social media. Get off social media. Delete your Twitter account. Those people won't bother you anymore if you just delete your account. Throw out your phone. I mean, I feel bad for her, but there's simple ways of dealing with it other than killing yourself. Obviously, to kill herself in such a brutal way, slicing her wrist, taking pictures of it, posting about it, there's obviously some mental issues there beyond just social media bullying. Jeffrey B says this lockdown can't go on forever. Even the biggest promotions in the world can't sustain themselves with live fan attendance. Well, WWE actually lost money on live events last year. So WWE's biggest revenue source right now is their TV deals and their YouTube money that they get and their Saudi Arabia deals. So yes, they can't continue the Saudi Arabia because of this, but for TV revenue, as long as they're getting big TV deals, they can go on forever. If the ratings continue to tank, obviously it's not going to go on forever, but they actually save money when you're touring around, you're spending money on arena rentals, advertising, flying all these guys, flying all the production people to these towns, and the events don't break even. It's a lot easier just to film in one place. You only have to set it up once and leave it set up. And a lot of the WWE talent already live in Florida. So they could sustain that, yes, in my opinion. YouTube user says wrestling is dead. I agree. It's now entertainment, at least as far as WWE, AEW, and NWA goes. It's all entertainment. MLW, I think, is still trying to do wrestling. Great North Wrestling is still trying to do wrestling, but obviously the lockdown has caused us to be shut down. However, I did assist in producing the first ever Great North Wrestling cinematic match, I guess you could call it, and I hope to have it out by tomorrow. There's been a slight delay on it, but some people are not going to like it, some people are, but it might not be the first cinematic match Great North Wrestling is going to put out, and I'm looking forward to hearing what people's reaction are. I think it's entertaining personally, but some people aren't going to like it. But you know what? I know some people, even though you disagree with me about AEW, we do have AEW fans that watch this channel. So I'm putting out a cinematic match. Kevin Ader says Nail's interview is what I can't wait for. Well, I've said this before. Whenever the border is closed until at least July between Canada and the US, and when it opens up, the first place I'm looking at going for an interview trip is Minnesota, because I don't want to go there when it's cold. I'd rather hit it when the weather's still nice there. I have been in talks with Jesse Ventura's agent. Jesse Ventura interview is pretty much going to happen. I've actually been saving up for it. I'd also like to get many others while I'm there, including the Berserker, Nails, Greg Gagne. So let's hope they don't keep the border shut for much longer, but you never know. They're taking the lockdown, I think, is being taken more seriously in Canada than the US. Fard Doctor says Skinner interview would be good. I did post a short interview with Skinner, Steve Kern, on here, and it didn't get that many hits. And when I talked to Steve Kern about doing an interview with me, he seemed to want a lot of money, but the short interview I did with him only has about 2,000 hits on here in over a year, so I don't know if he's worth a full interview or not. For the people saying New Jack, the thing about New Jack, I would interview him, but he also wants a lot of money. And a lot of people have already interviewed him, so I don't know. As I've stated on here, I'm living off of basically YouTube right now. My regular job is closed until at least July, from what I've been told. So I can't really throw money around on interviews that I might not make my money back on. I am interviewing Severn today, as I said. Animal, Road Warrior Animal, I'm interviewing tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. Victor Murphy says he just rewatched the Marty Jannetty interview. I think he was real all the way. I love the Marty Jannetty interview. So anyone that hates on it, don't click on it. It was one of probably my top 5 favorite interviews. And for everyone that says they feel bad for Marty Jannetty, he's told me that, I forget how many exactly, but I believe he said he had sex with over 5,000 women. I don't feel bad for anyone that's had sex with over 5,000 women. So we'll close it at that. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the Hannibal TV. I also have a podcast. I post all my full career interviews in the podcast. You can find the iTunes podcast link in the description of this video. And also I have a second YouTube channel, Devon Nicholson. Just search it up and subscribe. I'm starting to post custom footage on that channel. And James Lemon tells me thank you. Someone says they love my Sid interviews too. I also love the Sid ones. Maybe it'll be a third Sid full shoot. So have a great night, everybody.